Starting to the bottom right, we have the Protoss player who was able to win the last game. He tied the series. He has a shot at Codes. If he wins this map, he will advance. Here's
MVP Vampire.
There's a shot of him now. I really like his keyboard.
Vampire now one happy panda. He's down the game. But now he has it in his own hands to win the series. Starting to the top left, cross position of his opponent. The Zerg player who had technical issues in game number 2. It is
HyuN.
Hopefully those issues do not carry over to the final game here. Vampire scouts very carefully, checks for Overlord at the top right, sees none, then goes right into the top left location where he will find HyuN's base. And HyuN will likely start his spawning pool right now, does not want to go hash first, especially not on this map.
Yeah, the spawning pool being built. And of course on this map, a lot of Zerg players have been starting with an early pool, have tried to be a bit more greedy, but you don't want to take this risk in such an important series. HyuN playing it standard here, chasing the probe away, and of course he's well aware that most likely the probe is not only going to try to deny the hatch, but will attempt to drop the pylon.
Yeah. Looks like he's actually going to surrender it here. He was making his Nexus back at home when that happened, so I suppose that's the reason why. The other way, HyuN would have been able to get the hatchery up. Could have pulled another drone if he needed to. The Forge is now started as well. We are going to see two very normal openings coming through here. Now on this map, we talked about it already, but this is not a map the Zerg players are comfortable on. It's very hard to attack the third base, but you feel also at the same time your third base is relatively vulnerable to Protoss attacks. The fourth base is relatively easy to take if you can get ahead in the game, but if you're not, that's even a tough thing to think about. So it's really difficult for Zerg players to actually play this matchup out. They have to play a very specific way, and if they make any real mistakes, the Protoss player can capitalize on it so easily.
You can be misled on a map like this so easily, and one of the problems is that it's quite tough to find out what exactly you're facing. Is the Protoss player trying to play this standard style where he goes into a fourth base and where we will see later on Archon's mothership and just the entire arsenal of the Protoss player? Or will we just see once again an 11 gate on 3 bases? There's so many possibilities. In Code A we've even, actually in GSL, we've seen a Nexus Castle at the 3rd. It was so well played, it was quite classic, and he completely faked his opponent out and took the game.
This map, like Ohana, is just so good for taking that third base as a Protoss, and you can mislead people with that, you can do it for real. When the Protoss player puts that Stalker to the left side of the base and makes the wall at the front, how can HyuN even know if there's really a Nexus there? That's always the question. He's taking a pretty quick gas himself here.
And of course the third base that he has already on its way. Let's find out what HyuN is going to do. Last time on this map he tried to go for a drop play. What is the weapon of choice this time? The cannon, actually in range of the rocks, can take them down.
He was working on it, he saw the Ling, he put on stop position for a second because he wasn't sure if the Ling was going to try to come in. Now he's working on it again.
What he's going to do here is try to take his third base as fast as possible, take the rocks down, and then block the ramp at the third with additional gateways.
Cyberdex will get close to being finished. We see +1 come out now. And I think we'll see robotics tech out of Vampire this time. I do not think he will continue doing this Twilight Council strategy 3 games in a row. It starts to become a little bit predictable, and still so far, honestly, it hasn't been all too effective either. We
have a bit of a change for HyuN. He's not going for the fast lair that we've seen in 2 games. No, this time he is actually researching speed first, which gives him the opportunity of being a bit more aggressive. Also, of course, on a map like this, he can scout more aggressively. He has a few Zerglings on the main, on the map. Not too many though. Third base already being built for Vampire, and of course the pylon has been started, so he can start with those 3 additional gateways very soon. Let's see what the Zerglings are able to do. Nice scout here by HyuN.
He's able to get through. He's even going to pick off his Zealot in the middle of the map.
Very important here. Now no scouting information for Vampire.
Yeah, he wants to actually double up on those gateways. The Ling is trying to...
I think he can cancel one of them easily.
With one on the inside as well.
Even with the Stalker. No problem for him at all. And there it is. The Zerglings running in. And if they get a surround at the Stalker, that would be devastating. He's just able to wall back.
He has to cancel a pylon as well, restarts the gateway. This is finally going to be cleaned up, but this is very annoying.
Oh, wow.
Really nice micro by Vampire as well, though. I mean, he actually lost a lot less than I thought he would.
And look at HyuN droning up, taking a 4th base already at 7:30 with a 4th base. This is quite impressive. He is playing this very greedy. At this point, he doesn't have a single attack unit on the map, not a single Zergling. He's just building 6 to get the scouting information up again. But he really wants to play a high eco game now.
Yeah, and you know, when you put some pressure on like that, it makes a Protoss player a little bit scared. He's not sure if you're going to really continue to commit to that, or if you're actually just going to go for attack spy or...
Oh, wow. Not what I expected, but I like it.
I like it as well.
Haven't seen it in a while.
This is not a map that most Zergs will say is a good map for Mutalisks, but when you do get ahead, and if you can catch your point off guard with it, you can bounce between the 3 bases really easily. And that makes a Protoss player's life a nightmare. If he doesn't have enough Stalkers, if he doesn't add those cannons, especially if he does something weird like Vampire's been doing where he gets charged before Blink. He's doing this thing with armor again. He gets +1 armor before he starts +2. Yeah, the Twilight Council wasn't quite done, but it's done now. And he could have gone +2.
There's Blink. On this map, usually if you have Blink Stalkers, Protoss is able to defend against Mutalisks quite easily. But I don't really think that Vampire expects HyuN to go for 4 bases. 5th base coming up. Oh my god. HyuN really wants to control the map and make sure that Vampire is not able to move out and then capitalize on his economy and tech up again. I really like the strategy. If you place this Mutalisk heavy, it's going to be difficult for Vampire to defend and to be aggressive on his own.
Yeah, a lot of the time when you go for Mutalisks here, you want to double expand with it, but you do it much later. You know, maybe 11 minutes, 11 and a half minutes, not at about 8 minutes when you decide to go for the Spire. Now, the Spire is done, he starts +1 and his Mutas. The Observer is being followed, so if he actually can capitalize on this and take the Observer out with the Queen, then he'll be able to hide that 5th base. The 4th base is something that when Vampire sees him, like, oh, that was a little bit risky of you, but that's fine. And he actually turns around because of the Queen.
Oh, but there's another scout to the right, 1 Observer, but it does not go to the... Yeah, it doesn't go to the 5th. And those Mutalisks are still not scouted. There are 11 additional ones built, 10. He will have 15 in total.
Yeah.
This is going to be scary. The question remains, will Observer number 2 spot them? Ah, yes, he knows. Unfortunate for HyuN.
But how will he react? He doesn't have a lot of time to think. He's already started his range for his Colossi. It's not going to be useful here. Now the cannons are starting to come through. He's getting a few additional Stalkers out as well. He should be able to hold the first wave really easily.
Yes. The first wave shouldn't be a problem at all. HyuN is committing heavily to Mutalisks now. And he wants to do damage, but the most important part is to keep Vampire in his base.
Yeah, that's so right.
Brilliant Blink, but now he's in cooldown. Takes only 1 Mutalisk down, and the main base is exposed. This is exactly what HyuN wanted. Well done.
This is what we were talking about earlier. You can bounce to the bases. Now the Stalkers in the main. He goes right to the 3rd. Only a few of the Stalkers got in. There's cannons finishing here, so he can't actually engage the Stalkers. Otherwise, he would have had a field day there.
You know, he didn't even lose too many Mutalisks. That was, I would say, still worth it. He took down 6 Harvesters and put a lot of aggression onto Vampire. On the other hand, he wanted more. He wanted a lot more here. But Vampire was prepared, and it was a nice trap by Vampire too. He had the 1 cannon was building, the Stalkers a little bit behind, then blinked in.
He's taking another base. This is going to be his 6th base.
And he's still building Mutalisks. He will go up to 32 Mutalisks, and there's no Storm. With only Stalkers, this could be devastating. There are 15 Stalkers, but this might not be 7 additional Mutalisks. HyuN is going massive, plus 2 attack. He's fully committing to this.
I haven't seen something like this since Slayer's Midman in the Super Tournament, just making this many Mutas and fighting against Genius. This is something that's really powerful because if you see Mutas, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to commit. So if you continue to make Immortals, like we've seen here, if you research Charge and start to get Colossi out, that Colossi that's popped out is going to be the loneliest Colossi ever because he's not going to make any more of those.
He can actually commit.
Yeah.
He is able to shut down the gateways, and now what's left? 17 Stalkers against 33 Mutalisks with +1 attack already.
No Storm, no Archons, no AoE damage from these Mutas. You can actually just fight them.
Yeah,
he's going to start killing the gateways here.
Oh wow, this is so much aggression, and look at the base that he's getting, top right of the minimap. 2 additional bases currently being taken by HyuN. He's everywhere right now. He's macroing it up like a boss while putting on all this Mutalisk aggression, and now he starts to fight. He knows that there's no cooler anymore. He moves in. Guardian Shield is not of any use at all to the Stalkers that he just attacked.
He's going to either commit or not, though, and now he's going to decide to do it. He does lose a lot of Mutas this time, but he still has 31 on the field. And he's got these extra bases around the map. The problem, of course, is going to become the upgrades. He picks up a Stalker here, but loses 2 mutas that time, and that's not going to end up adding up very well for him. He needs to wait for these 10 additional mutas to come out.
He has so many mutalisks. This is crazy. He has 29, he's getting additional 10, and Vampire just can't move out.
Yeah, he's really trapped right now. HyuN took a bunch of risky bases, took only gas there, but now he's really feeling good about the Mutalisk count he's been able to build. He does lose 1 here, but takes out 2 Stalkers and a cannon.
He's only getting Mutalisk. He could actually, I would love to see him get a second Spire for double upgrades if he wants to continue doing this. He's getting the second attack upgrade already, so well, without the Hive, the second Spire wouldn't make too much sense now. But still, this is getting absolutely insane. HyuN is playing it completely old school.
Yeah, very old school here. HyuN will go down with yet again. Unpowering these Gillies, even going to pick one of them off. And the other one is useless regardless. These Colossi are going to be taken for free if he wants them. An insane surround by the Stalkers on the Mutas though. Will HyuN commit? It looks like he will.
Yes, he commits, and now the Mutalisk count is dwindling. They're 30 against 20. He might be able to take this game here though. It's going to be close, but HyuN and Vampire, they're losing so much. 21 Mutalisk against 16 Stalkers. He's trying to commit to take them down, and now HyuN moves back, waits for the rest of the Stalkers. A nice blink here. He needs to get more. He's building another 12 Mutalisks already, and he builds bases to the top left, bottom left.
This pylon could be a big problem for him. The attack is on the way, and he turns around. Vampire actually decides to turn around. He does not want to risk an elimination race just yet. Now he's waiting for that pylon. This is such a scary moment because basically he's got a bunch of Lings on the way, but he's still going to be dealing with those Colossi. He killed 1 earlier, but he wasn't able to get a lot.
But suddenly there are more Stalkers than Mutalisks.
Yeah. And they are very heavily upgraded as well. With the Colossi to help against the Lings on the ground, the Mutas are not going to be too big of a threat as long as he can fight with them with Guardian Shield.
HyuN lost a lot more resources in this game than his opponent. He lost 12,000 against 7,000. The thing is, he has so many bases.
Oh,
he's
the wall's
running
not
in!
closed.
Oh god.
This is really bad for Vampire. He has to commit now. He needs to get his Stalkers together.
And he's moving in once again. He wants to fight in. The Guardian Shield is up. The Mutalisks are trying to take this army down. There are too many Stalkers.
Yeah, I think there may be.
He cannot fight against this many Stalkers. This is too much. HyuN is trying to go for the space race, and he's doing a great job. But he needs to be a little bit more careful. If he just tries to take down these buildings, I think he will be fine. But he can't. He cannot fight the army.
Yeah, there's no way for him to. Right now, the Lings on the ground are not as upgraded as the Zealots, which are on 2-2. And Vampire has done it. I think this game is over. There's no way for him to actually trade anymore. He can just make cannons at home. He already has some cannons up.
No. That game is not over. He has bases to the top right, to the bottom left. If he just builds Mutalisks and starts to avoid the army and takes out buildings, this is what you want to do. But he is actually attacking the army again, and he cannot. Well, this is something he cannot win.
And you know, he doesn't have much mining on his bases. He's only mining gas. GG.
If you go for such a build and your opponent is pushing, you have to play like Dark Force style. You have to annoy your opponent. You have to go for a base race and play your trump card, that you have so many bases scattered across the map. You cannot engage against this many Stalkers. And HyuN finds himself once again in the up and downs, while Vampire advances. Congratulations to the Protoss player.
Yeah, Protoss player will be going to Codes. HyuN had that moment, you know, right outside the natural of Vampire where he said, I'm actually going to fight with my Mutas. I'm going to fight right now on top of your Stalkers. If I win the fight, I win the game. If I lose the fight, I got a lot of bases around the map. Maybe I can still make this work. But in the end, not only did he lose the fight, but he lost it so overwhelmingly that he wasn't able to control the game anymore.
I cannot understand why he continued to fight the army. After this fight, he still had around 20 Mutalisks. Yeah. And he built another 10 while the fight was going on. So this is 30 Mutalisks. If he doesn't fight, then he fought again at his 4th. He fought again at, I think, 5th, 3rd. I actually don't know which base was next.
I think it was the 4th one.
He fought like 4 times after this initial fight that you just talked about. Yeah. If he doesn't do it and just uses the circling run by to take his opponent down and uses the Mutalisks, he has a nice bank, he has the economy, he has 2 bases to the bottom left, 2 to the top right. He can just continue transferring drones over and just make use of the fact that he has the entire map and that his Mutalisks are so mobile. This is the style that Zergs started to do like about a year ago. Yeah, but he can't fight.
I thought he would make spine crawlers and use his Mutalisks to try to buy time for the spines to get up and then try to hold on to his bases. Then if he needs to, he can send the drones to, like you said, all the hatcheries that are all over the map. He didn't really have any drones mined there, but he could have sent drones over there if he needed to.
And Vampire, he defended at the beginning against the Mutalisk, and then he had a high Stalker count, and he said, okay, like, this is the time to move out. He moved out, And he knew that he had to be aggressive at some point. You can't be too timid and just stay in your base the entire time. If you wait for Storm, that might be an option. If you catch your opponent's Mutalisk with a good Storm or two, then of course things change very rapidly. But at this point in the game, Vampire knew exactly he had to move out and be aggressive at one point in the game. He tried to take this chance, and well, luckily for him, HyuN started to fight this army. God knows why.
It was really strange. Actually, all 3 games we saw in this series were pretty weird and abnormal for how this match was normally played.
As it is, Vampire advances. Congratulations to the MVP Protoss. Well done. And he finds himself now in Codes next season. HyuN, on the other hand, has to fight once more through the up and downs in order to get into Codes, so we will see him in Code. We are heading into match number 2 very soon. It is the Startail match. We have Hack up against Squirtle. But this match will, of course, happen after a 5-minute break, so see you guys in a few.